Darcy, Rising Sun Yoga and Wellness. I want to go over some of the props that we frequently use in class and how you can make them at home for yourself if you don't have them already. Yoga strap. We frequently use a yoga strap in class to support our legs up in the air, help with some of the movements that we do. If you don't have a yoga strap of your own, a karate belt works fantastically. You can also use the tie for a robe, goes around your waist, a couple of neckties put together, a good sturdy piece of nylon rope, anything like that will work. So just grab what you have. We also occasionally use blocks in class. Blocks can be made easily out of cutting 2 chunks of wood if you happen to have some wood available at your house. It doesn't have to be this big. My favorite wooden blocks that I own are actually smaller than this, but having larger blocks can give you more support and the ability to maybe not have to go quite so deep into a pose. So for example, if I wanted to prop under my knee, that's a lesser bit of a prop than propping it long ways or propping it like that. So with a smaller block, you will not have that amount of range. To do that, to use something other than a block at home, you can use a couple of old books. Those will work really well. You can use a couple of large juice cans, like maybe the size of tomato cans or possibly V8 juice cans. Those types of things, if you can still find the cans. Some stores are going to plastic, but they're still out there. We often use a spinal strip. I use a cut pool noodle. You want like the average size. The really tiny ones, they work a little bit, but they fit too much in the crack of your spine. If you have a really, really tender back, one of those can work because it gives you a little bit of sensation, but it's not too much on your spine. Another way to use a spinal strip or make a spinal strip is to just use a folded blanket. So as you see here, just do a quick little accordion fold. You could also just as easily roll it up. You want a firmer blanket for this. A wool blanket or one of these Mexican blankets works really well. A thick bath towel works well, or 2 thin bath towels rolled long. It just needs to be long enough to have your head and the tip of your tailbone lying on it. Now, blankets are always great for props. First of all, you don't even need to have a yoga mat. Yoga mat can be nice for helping you not slip. On the other hand, you shouldn't have your legs spread so wide that you are slipping. Sometimes yoga mats can compensate for your range, and you can get yourself longer and hold it there if you have a mat, but if you were trying to do it on a floor, you wouldn't go so far. That being said, if you don't have a mat, mats are a nice way to keep your body clean, but you could use a blanket instead or a towel, except for standing, and sometimes you want to be on a harder surface for standing so that you have more balance. Now, if you have chronic pain issues, or you're like me and you just like to be super comfy a lot, having a blanket or 2 on top of your mat or under your mat just adds this layer of comfort to the body. And I actually especially like in the winter to use wool blankets because they're a little bit softer and fluffier, and I sink into them a little bit, but they're firm enough that you're not sinking too much. So, and that's would be lying like so on the mat. Like that. Now, blankets are also good for lots of things. As you see, I'm sitting on a little zafu here. That's because when you are in a seated position, first of all, just crossing your legs like we learned in school, that's actually not very comfortable. So I like to pull one foot in and pull the other foot in next to it instead. It's a lot easier on the ankles, I feel, easier in the body. But you want to be able to sit high enough that your legs drop open. So watch what happens if I sit flat with my bottom on the floor. Now if I'm sitting, I can bring my body forward and lean forward and make it come forward more. But even then, that knee is still up. Now, if I sit backwards more, you notice that both my knees come up. That's not comfortable. I couldn't sit that way very long. The minute I move my body higher on a propped surface, my legs are able to open up in front of me, and I sit like this for a very long time. Now, I may let you know at the beginning of the practice that you might want a bolster. This is a firm bolster. It's actually nice for sitting on in terms of raising your bottom up. It also can be great if you want to spread forward like that for lying down. One of my favorite uses for a bolster is in final relaxation, lying long on the mat and then just dropping your legs over here so that your knees are resting and relaxing. However, this is a super firm bolster, and bolsters can get really expensive. And so a really cheap, easy solution to that is to take 2 pillows and stuff them into one pillowcase. Now, I have 2 king-size pillows stuffed into here, and if you notice, it's about the same length as the bolster. You can actually use 2 standard pillows instead and stuff them in. I love this. I'm actually going to go buy 2 more king-size pillows and make another one. This has become my favorite because it's softer, and so when I have to lay on it, my body sinks into it, and for me personally, it's easier for my body to let go that way. So that's a great use of it. Now, if you don't have the pillows and you don't have the time or the props, once again, come back to our blankets. Blankets, again, rolling them up. You can roll them in a variety of ways, and see, right there under the knees. Blocks can also be used under the knees. I'll do that a lot. They're not as comfy. They're not soft, but they do in a bind just to go ahead and do that. It's very easy if your knees are dropped wide apart to have them rest on here. Now, the reason why you might want a variety of props available, I'll tell you at the beginning of the practice what would be the best to have. Like maybe you want some blocks and a bolster, and you'll need a spinal strip, I might say. You should always have a blanket to sit on, or a zephyr or a pillow. And for bolsters, you can also use just some standard pillows on the couch. I have a ton, like a whole bunch, like 10, 11, 12 really small round bolsters about this side, and we use them all the time in class. I get those in thrift stores for like $2 or $3 a piece. They're brand new, never been used, and those are ideal small props. The reason why you might want to have a couple of larger blankets or bigger things to use and smaller things is that you may not know what your body needs before the practice. So if you have not done a position where your knees might be dropped open, some people can just have their knees drop and it's not an issue. And some people may want a small prop, which could be one of those little tiny bolsters or a block. And other people might need a much larger item tucked underneath their knees, like maybe 2 of these folded up together to make a larger one. So you just want to have the ability to play with that to find out how your body can be the most supported and in the most comfort as you do this practice. Now, this was something I just recently found in a box of old linens. It's one of those old memory foam pillows. I sometimes struggle when I'm lying on my belly, like in crocodile pose, for a very long time because of my breasts. I can't feel like I can't breathe, and it hurts to lie on them that way. And so I, in the past, used to take some of those smaller bolsters, little pillows. I actually made out of a bunch of old, thin egg carton foam, little tiny pads. So I'll tuck them underneath my body like that. This memory foam one is what I've been playing with. And I really actually like to lie on here in the front, and then I can place my arms over top of it. So play with what you've got. Experiment, explore, see how they work for you. You don't have to spend any money to do this practice. Just find what's on hand and adapt and modify. I'm always grabbing different things and making up new uses for them. So it's a practice of curiosity. Enjoy.